What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Now, I've wanted to make this one during WrestleMania season. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to cover it, but that's what I'm here to do today. This won't include their feud in 2001, as that should be in a separate video, perhaps a Brother of Destruction video. With that said, I like this feud. As a kid, I remember the time Triple H retired HBK, and you could go check it out here. I remember assuming Triple H was going to try to avenge his best friend's loss. That's exactly what happened. In this video, I'll cover the feud between Triple H and The Undertaker. This feud gives me WWE 12 and WWE 13 vibes. Reminds me of those games so damn much, and I haven't played them in years. I haven't played them since like 2013. Anyways, two of WWE's longest serving performers going at it at WrestleMania. With that said, let's get into it. But before I do, let me just say, would you guys like seeing on Rock for the next video so we can continue this WrestleMania 28 thing, or something else? Because I got a few ideas in my head, and I'll just do those ideas instead. What do you guys think? Scene on Rock or something else? Anyways, let's get into it. At this point, both The Undertaker and Triple H began to transition into part-time wrestlers. This kind of hurt WWE's star power, but it had to happen because it was time for the company to build new stars, although they didn't really do much of that. But another problem was the fact that these two were going to be part-timers, which meant they were going to take some full-time guys' spots. Anyways, in February of 2011, vignettes aired on WWE TV signaling the arrival of someone. Many assumed it was Sting, as he had just turned down a contract offer from TNA. But after some back and forth from both sides, Sting turned down the offer. Now, had Sting signed in 2011, then he would have faced The Undertaker at WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta. He would have came out to Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica, and we would have been in for a classic. But it was not to be, and instead, it was The Undertaker who returned. Now, this is just a rumor. The Sting thing was true, but as for the vignettes, they're just that, a rumor. I believe they were always set to be for The Undertaker, and the Sting thing just happened at the same time. I'm not sure though, but I just remember seeing a while back. On the February 21st, 2011 episode of Raw 2/21/11, The Undertaker finally returned after 4 months away. This return though wasn't the same as his previous ones. This time he was a part-timer. Right when he took off his hat, Triple H returned after 10 months away. He also became a part-timer in this moment. The Undertaker had this look of disgust on his face, like, this guy's coming out here to take up my TV time. The two stars of the Attitude Era stood face to face, and they both stared at the WrestleMania sign. And The Undertaker had a little smirk on his face like, let me explain it. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. As Taker was walking away, he had a change of heart, and apparently he accepted the match. They did their signature taunts, and I guess the match was official. They didn't verbally communicate, they used sign language, I guess, to get to the point. The following week, Triple H spoke about The Undertaker. The game was poised to end the streak. As a matter of fact, here are his words. I've just heard him referred to as the last outlaw. Not yet. There are two. You see, you and I are very much the same, Deadman. Actually, a lot more than you know. When you look around in the back, Deadman, I know you see what I do. There are no challenges left. There's only one thing that stands before you, and that's the streak. It's what keeps you going. That challenge. But the fact is, when you look around that locker room, I'm the only challenge you've got left. And the truth is, when I look around, the only challenge I have is ending the streak. It's the only thing we've got left standing in front of us, and it will happen at WrestleMania 27. Deadman, you and I will define an era. The iconic, the legendary, the last two will meet. And on that night, nothing else will matter. There can only be one Deadman at WrestleMania. You have only one thing left, and it's the streak. And when it dies, you die. And at WrestleMania, I have only one thing left. It's the streak, and if I can't end it, then I'll die trying. So basically, get rich or die trying. One thing that I noticed during this promo is that Triple H basically said that the whole locker room aren't a challenge to neither him or The Undertaker. That was kind of weird to say. It basically meant that the whole roster was inferior to The Undertaker and Triple H. It doesn't really mean much in the end. Then Sheamus came out and he got utterly destroyed. A little context, Sheamus was the one who took out Triple H a year earlier, hence the assault. The Undertaker responded to Triple H's statements later that week on SmackDown. At this point, he was using Ain't No Grave as his theme song. He said that the strongest and the greatest don't know when to leave something alone. Like, there are mountains that cannot be climbed, seas that cannot be sailed, and streaks that cannot be broken. As for Triple H's statements, he agreed with them. They were the last of their era, and they were a dying breed. The Undertaker put over Triple H before mentioning how the game claimed he found a way to make The Undertaker disappear forever. And he said that it's simple. All you have to do is beat him at WrestleMania. But it's easier said than done. And if Triple H wins, then he'll be hailed as the King of Kings. What if he loses, and he will lose, he'll become nothing more than a statistic and name on a long list of people that have tried to end the streak. The Undertaker said that he bows down to no man, and at WrestleMania, Triple H will find out what 18 men already found out. So that means Triple H will find out for a second time. And he will rest in peace. Heading into the event, Triple H claimed that he wasn't going to make the same mistakes his friend Shawn Michaels did. And Michaels' issues throughout that match were because of his emotions. He said that for the last 2 years, he's seen two of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history, and unfortunately, HBK lost both of those matches. Triple H said that Michaels' problem was emotion. He struggled to separate his matches with his emotion, and that was his Achilles heel. And like Shawn said, Triple H has a sadistic side that could help him end the streak at WrestleMania. The Game said that at the grandest stage of them all, he's going to look into the eyes of the Phenom, and he will do what no man has done before. He's gonna beat The Undertaker, because he has no emotion. He doesn't care about the mountain of legacy that is beneath him, and The Undertaker was the one who made this match no holds barred, and for that, he thanks him. Now, Triple H was like every single one of those guys that came previously. I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna be the one to end this streak. As a matter of fact, he faced The Undertaker at WrestleMania 17. This time, though, it was different. The streak during that time period wasn't really important. They mentioned it from time to time at WrestleMania, but it wasn't a big deal until, I guess, WrestleMania 21. The Undertaker, however, warned Triple H later on. He said that the Game was confident in how he's going to eradicate the streak, and after hearing him show that confidence, it started to fade into uncertainty, and soon that will turn into despair. And Triple H will realize that the words "die trying" will be his words on his tombstone, and he does look forward to confronting Triple H on Raw. And Triple H's fate was decided on 2/21/11 when he decided to come out to the ring. And at WrestleMania, Triple H will put up all his fame and glory to become a number, and that number is 19. On the final Raw before WrestleMania 27, both men spoke about WrestleMania. This time, though, the last victim, Shawn Michaels, was there. Triple H, and these are his words. Here they are. Here's the thing. You will always be a legend. You will always be an icon. You will always be the Phenom. You will always be the Deadman, and I will always respect you more than any other man. But in 6 days, you will no longer be undefeated at WrestleMania, because whether I want it to be or not, I am the one, as in 18-1. WrestleMania, Deadman, you and your streak, with all due respect, and well-deservedly, will rest in peace. The Undertaker responded with this: "If I ever got to the time where I felt someone should put me down, I'd want that person to be you. That's the respect that I have for you, but it ain't that time. And I know that you're gonna kill yourself trying, but in the end, the streak will still be alive, and so will I. And if you don't want to take my word for it, ask him." You see, Shawn walks around every day of his life as the man who gave me the two greatest WrestleMania matches of my career. And he came that close, yet he still didn't get it done. Now, when I look in the eyes of Shawn Michaels, I don't see the same confidence. I don't see the same arrogance. What I see is a man that I humbled. What I see is a man who will soon go into the Hall of Fame full of regrets. What I see is a man whose career I ended. The Undertaker then pushed Shawn, and HBK then tried going for the sweet chin music, but he managed to evade it. Triple H then got in Undertaker's grill, and it was going to be WrestleMania 6 nights earlier. Triple H then asked for Michaels to say that he's going to beat Taker at WrestleMania, and he didn't respond as he didn't exactly believe in Triple H. Shawn walked to the back, and to be honest, watching this one at the time, I assumed Taker was going to win. As for the matchup at WrestleMania 27, bright spot of the event. One of my favorite matches from WrestleMania. It's not exactly my top 10 favorites, or maybe even top 15, I guess, but I liked it. Taker and Triple H went out there and had a war. It obviously wasn't as good as one of the HBK bouts, but it managed to hold its own in a different way. This one wasn't more of a wrestling match. This was more of a brutal encounter to see who's the last man standing, basically. JR called this one, and deservedly so. I mean, it made sense, because these guys were from his era. Triple H was hell-bent on ending the streak, and at some points during the match, he told Taker to stay down for his own good, because he said that he'll do anything to end that streak. They blasted each other in the head with a chair. It's got them fined, by the way. They traded and kicked out of finishers, and in Triple H's case, he stole The Undertaker's finisher, and the Deadman just struggled. He couldn't find a way out. Triple H, meanwhile, though, began to doubt himself. Like, how in the hell am I going to put this guy down? I gave him a few pedigrees, I gave him some chair shots all over his body, and now I tombstoned him, yet this wasn't enough. So Triple H brought out plan B, the sledgehammer. Once he entered the ring, he was locked in Hell's Gate. Triple H tried moving and moving and moving, trying to get loose and escape, but it was locked in tight. He dropped the sledgehammer in an attempt to escape, but it didn't work out for him. Once he grabbed the sledgehammer again, he was looking to bash Taker's brains in, but once he was about to blast him, he dropped it once again. He tried to escape, but he failed in his efforts, and in the end, he tapped out. I love this story. The Undertaker getting lucky at WrestleMania. I mean, throughout the match, he struggled and struggled and struggled to avoid Triple H's vicious offense, and in the end, with the help of his submission move, he won. Although that didn't exactly seem the case. Despite losing, Triple H got up first while The Undertaker was laid out in precarious state. As a matter of fact, he had to be carried out of there while Triple H walked out on his own 2 feet. Basically, story in a nutshell, The Undertaker won the battle, Triple H won the war, and it was clear that these two were going to face off once again. The next night on Raw, Triple H came out to discuss this matchup. The Game was amazed that The Undertaker managed to win, and these are his words. Like, he couldn't believe it. "I'm telling you right now, You could call him anything you want. You could call him the Phenom, you could call him the Deadman, you could call him Supernatural, but no man alive ever got up like that. And no man alive ever got hit like that and just kept coming. And I gotta tell you, I'm struggling with it today. I guess it's just willpower because you could call him all those things, but what I saw getting carried out of the arena on the back of that stretcher was a man that is willing to destroy himself to keep that streak intact. A lot of people are talking today about the fact that he did get carted out, that he's just a man, and that he left everything he had, that he would never be the same. Hell, I'll never be the same, but a lot of people are saying that that's it, that he'll never be back. If that's the case, then I'm not buying it. But just in case, I wanted to come out here and say one thing. I just wanted to say, thank you, Deadman. Thank you. You gave me the fight of my life. And here's the thing, because I don't believe you won't be back. Not after what I felt last night. You'll be back, and when you're back, I'll be waiting. Yeah, about that. Triple H didn't really wait for him. He became COO of the company in July, effectively ending any possibility of a rematch between the two in storyline. Although it was pretty clear that we were going to get the rematch, because The Undertaker didn't appear in the WWE ring for nearly a year. It wasn't until the January 30th, 2012 episode of Raw that the feud would be reignited. On that night, Triple H was set to evaluate John Laurinaitis as GM, and when it was time for Triple H to deliver the verdict, which was going to be the moment Laurinaitis was fired, a gong was heard in the arena, and then out came The Undertaker. Now, I remember hearing that he shaved his head around this time period and he started to wear a wig. I don't know what to say about that. Like, I remember that time period thinking it's weird that Undertaker didn't have his long hair anymore. Anyways, the Deadman was here to avenge his loss at WrestleMania. Sure, he won, but to him it felt like he lost the war. The Undertaker signaled his intentions for WrestleMania 28, and Triple H made it seem like he turned down the challenge. Triple H walked to the back as Raw went off the air. Like I said, there was some doubt in storyline whether or not this thing was going to happen because Triple H was he was focused on his job. He wanted to do what's best for business. He did verbally respond to the challenge the following week, and his answer was, as expected, was a no. The reason why the game declined the challenge was because of what he did to him last year. And if he was put in that situation, then he'd have to finish him once and for all. And for that reason, and out of respect from all of his heart, he says no. Shawn Michaels had to return and try to talk some sense into Triple H. I believe this was Michaels' first Raw appearance since June of 2011. He wanted to hear Triple H admit that he wanted to end the streak at WrestleMania. The game came out and he said that he wishes Michaels was here more often and he didn't want to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Michaels then said that Triple H has got to do the thing with the suit, to which Triple H mentioned how Taker won the battle and he won the war. And he's not willing to end him at WrestleMania as he's not that guy anymore. Michaels said that Triple H is buried talent, stepped on throats, and he questioned Triple H. You're really this now? By the way, he didn't say buried, but that was what it seemed like he was implying. You married that chick and now you've became one of them. He called Triple H a corporate sellout, to which the game responded, I'm investing in the future. HBK said that when a man challenges you and you back down, that makes you a coward. Triple H tried leaving, but Michaels pulled him back. He didn't give a damn what Triple H was about nowadays. At the end of the day, a coward is still a coward. Triple H said that Michaels doesn't understand that he's got real-life responsibilities. Those responsibilities weigh a ton on his shoulders. He said that The Undertaker is a brand and he can't end him as that's bad for business. He didn't want to be the one who ended the era. He didn't want to do it for the fans. He didn't want to do it for himself, and especially not for Michaels' ego, as he just basically wants to live carelessly through him and get done the things that HBK couldn't do. Michaels pulled the game back once again, and he said that he's at peace with his life. Well, Triple H isn't, and he asked for the game to look him in his eyes and tell him that he doesn't want to end the streak. The game took off his blazer and he looked Michaels in the eye and he said his answer, no. And HBK walked to the back in disappointment. He knew that his best friend lied to him and he even looked him in the eyes in the process of doing so. Then for some reason, a video clip of The Undertaker and Triple H's match from WrestleMania played. The clip showed some of Taker's hair on the floor, and after weeks of lying to everyone and most importantly himself, Triple H finally made his final decision. On the February 20th, 2012 episode of Raw, The Undertaker came out to the ring and he was awaiting Triple H's decision on the matchup at WrestleMania. The Undertaker wasn't exactly in peace with himself. He didn't believe he won the match, and basically for nearly a year, he's lived the memory of the beating that he took at the hands of the game. He said that it's been a living hell for him, and not a physical hell because the wounds have all healed, but it's been a hell of uncertainty. An uncertainty that he could no longer bear. So that's why he came out and challenged Triple H to a matchup at WrestleMania 3 weeks ago, so we can end the uncertainty forever. And yeah, sure, Triple H declined, but he missed the point. Like, it's not your choice to make. He wanted this thing to come to an end, and all the suits and ties and the corporate liabilities are just layers to cover up who the game really is. He said that Triple H couldn't lie about it, and he called for him to come out to the ring. He tried to make excuses, but the Undertaker didn't want to hear it. He wasn't having it. He shut him up and he called Triple H's excuses pitiful. Triple H tried to explain things, stating that he wants these two to carry on, and he didn't want to extinguish the flame because it's bad for business. The Undertaker questioned Triple H's motive, stating that, is it bad for business if I'm gone or if you're gone? Triple H stuck to his answer. It's just bad for business. These are Triple H's words. It's just plain bad for business, dead man. Here's the thing, I get it, okay? While you have spent the last year living in a supposed uncertainty, I've never been more certain of anything in my life. And I think, quite honestly, if you look inside yourself, you're really certain of it too. You're not asking me for redemption. You're not asking me for salvation. You're not asking me for a shot at vengeance. You're asking me for an end. I know what I have to do to beat you. I have to finish you. And deep down inside, it's really what you want, isn't it? You want me to put an end to it. But here's the thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be the one that finishes it. The Undertaker, though, wasn't patient. He called Triple H a coward, to which he responded, stating that he's sick to death with this coward thing. Once again, he turned the match down. He was about to lose his temper, but he cooled things down like a CEO. He turned down the match, and he walked away. But then the Undertaker managed to trigger Triple H with this. You know, Hunter, I think I just figured it out. You know, you can't do what your buddy Shawn Michaels couldn't do. Because, you know, Shawn was always better than you. This stopped Triple H dead in his tracks and made him change his decision. The game erupted and he took off his suit. He was like, you wanted this, then fine. He marched down to the ring and said these words. You think this has anything to do with Shawn and who's better? It has nothing to do with that. Shawn couldn't get the job done. I know damn well that I can. I can do what Shawn couldn't do. I can finish it. I know it. You know it. You think that suit and tie cover up layers of who I am? Well, the layers are gone. I'm standing before you and I'm looking you in the eye. And I'm more certain than I've ever been before. You want this? You want WrestleMania? You want it all to come to a head? You want an end? You got it. The fans were going crazy at this point, and Triple H, he wanted to go all the way. He didn't want to half-ass or something, and he just wanted this one to be the end. WrestleMania 28, the end. He said that he will face The Undertaker at WrestleMania under one condition. What's the condition? Hell in a Cell. And there it was. Triple H versus The Undertaker. Hell in a Cell. WrestleMania 28, Miami, Florida, April 1st. And as if this thing wasn't already stacked, Shawn Michaels was made the special referee 2 weeks later. The Undertaker himself, though, wasn't keen on Shawn Michaels being the referee. He wasn't exactly, at peace of mind with the match. He wasn't comfortable in knowing that HBK was officiating this one. He didn't want HBK to do the wrong thing and screw him over. He didn't want Michaels' insecurities to get in the way of his officiating. And sure, he'll allow Michaels to count his shoulders down the mat, but he isn't prepared to accept Michaels sticking his ego in this. And if the outcome isn't pure, then Michaels is gonna pay. HBK said that it's ironic that the guy who ended his career could possibly be the guy whose streak ends at his hands. And in the end, it's he who ends the streak, basically. The Undertaker let Michaels know that he will beat Triple H and he will officially end an era. And if Michaels doesn't do the right thing, then he'll end him. On the March 19, 2012 episode of Raw, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, and Triple H went face to face to face. Triple H let The Undertaker know that he shouldn't worry about Shawn Michaels. He should worry about the game. He said that it's only about him and the Deadman. It's their destiny to do this, and they had two parallel legendary careers running side by side, connected by one thing: Hell in a Cell. They said that there's been many Hell in a Cell matches since the beginning, and they have been in 19 of them. He said that it's not a coincidence that the match that started out as the Devil's Playground became his proving ground. He said that this is where he learned that if it didn't kill him, then it made him stronger. He said that this is where he learned how to push the limits of human endurance. He said that all those matches he's been in, everything he's been through, has been for one moment: WrestleMania. He said that we're going to see the end of The Undertaker's era, and he knows exactly what it's going to take to finish the job. To which Taker responded saying this: are you sure your mind, your body, your soul, your career, your wife, your kids, all of this, even your life, are you willing to put it all on the line? Triple H's response: I am, and I will. Then The Undertaker reminded Triple H about the HBK is better than him remarks that he stated about a month ago. And The Undertaker said that Shawn Michaels actually is better than Triple H. HBK obviously loved this because it fit into his ego. About the match at WrestleMania, well, before, Shawn Michaels said that this match was the end of something, the end of the streak or the end of the game. And facing The Undertaker ended his career. He said that it's ironic that he has the power in his hands to end an era. The Undertaker sported a mohawk, and as for the match, legendary. When the match itself is good, it's awesome, but when the story in the match is good, it's historic. And the Hell in a Cell match had its own damn entrance. JR was once again on commentary. There was some awesome spots like the spinebuster onto the steel steps and the callback to WrestleMania 27 with the vicious chair shots. Shawn Michaels tried to get involved and told Triple H to just cover him. The Undertaker refused to back down. Triple H was relentless in his quest to end the streak, and Shawn Michaels tried to convince Taker to just forfeit so he could ring the bell, but he refused. Despite a sledgehammer shot, The Undertaker kicked out. Triple H tried to decapitate or blow Taker's brains out with a sledgehammer, but HBK took it away from him. And Triple H said, sure, take it away from me, but you gotta ring the bell. But the Undertaker didn't want it to end like this, and instead he locked HBK in the Hell's Gate to prevent this from happening. Triple H then blasted the Phenom with a brutal sledgehammer shot, and it was crazy. And then Taker locked the game in the Hell's Gate, but HBK was down. Another referee came out, and HBK hit a sudden switch in music. And Triple H connected with the pedigree in that moment. Oh my god. If there was ever a moment like you thought the streak was going to end and like you believed it, you really believed it, the most believable spot, it has to be this. It's either this or that switch in music Shawn Michaels hit at WrestleMania 26. Like you thought maybe, just maybe, it's over. But The Undertaker fooled everyone by kicking out. Michaels panicked and he sat in the corner. Triple H then threw Michaels out of the ring because he didn't want him to seriously injure the Deadman. And then The Undertaker started to make a comeback and he hit the tombstone, but the game kicked out. Michaels started crying as he didn't know what to do. Like, he was right in the middle of this and he was torn. Am I going with my best friend or am I going with this guy who I've known for 2 decades? The two went back and forth before The Undertaker used a chair on the game. It was a nice callback to WrestleMania 27. Triple H tried using the sledgehammer, but it just wasn't his night. He shoved Taker and did the DX crotch chop before walking straight into a sledgehammer shot. Michaels had his back against this chaos, and there was this callback to WrestleMania 26 before Taker hit the tombstone pile driver to go 20-0. Michaels counted to 3, and there it was. The end of an era. All in all, an epic matchup. They had some tremendous storytelling, the action was brutal, and The Undertaker stood tall this time around. Michaels helped Taker back up, and he hugged him. Then both men helped Triple H up, and they went up to the stage where they embraced the crowd. I love that moment, and I feel like The Undertaker should have retired here. Because I'm going to be honest. After this, I thought no one was going to end the streak. I did think maybe, just maybe CM Punk probably will. But it was just a small glimmer of belief. And when he faced Brock at WrestleMania 30, I thought impossible. Like, if Triple H could beat Brock Lesnar, so can The Undertaker. Anyways, I like this feud. But I prefer Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker's more because that was the original one. And plus, both matches were way better. This was pretty enjoyable. I enjoyed watching it at the time. And I thought The Undertaker was going to retire. Then he returned at Raw 1000, and yeah, he went 21-0, and we all know what happened after that. That's it for this video. Make sure you hit a pedigree on the like button, and perhaps a tombstone pile drive on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.